The world of entrepreneurship is filled with myths. One of the most dangerous is the belief that success comes from a perfect plan, a brilliant idea, and a massive launch. We often imagine founders toiling in secret for months or even years before revealing their finished product to the world in a single, dramatic moment. This approach is a recipe for disaster. The reality is that most startups fail, but many of those failures are preventable. They fail not because of poor execution, but because they build something nobody wants. The lean startup offers a different path, a scientific approach to creating and managing startups. This new approach is about turning the art of building a business into a science. The fundamental idea is to shorten the product development cycle by adopting business hypothesis-driven experimentation, iterative product releases, and validated learning. Instead of writing complex business plans, the lean startup methodology encourages you to test your vision continuously. It's about getting out of the building and engaging with real customers from day one. At the heart of the lean startup is a simple yet powerful feedback loop: build, measure, learn. This three-step process is the engine that drives a startup forward. It's a continuous cycle designed to turn ideas into products, measure how customers respond, and then learn whether to pivot or persevere. The first step, build, is not about creating a final polished product. Instead, it's about building the smallest possible thing, an experiment, a prototype, or a feature that allows you to start the learning process. The goal is to get something into the hands of early adopters as quickly as possible. This initial version is just the beginning of a conversation with your market. Once you have built that initial version, you move to the measure phase. This is where you collect real-world data. Are people using the product? Are they engaging with the new feature? This stage requires innovation accounting. It's not about vanity metrics like page views. It's about actionable metrics that demonstrate a clear cause and effect. The final step is learn. This is the most critical part of the loop. After building an experiment and measuring the outcome, you must confront the results. The data will tell you a story. This is the moment of truth where you decide whether to persevere on your current path or to pivot. A pivot is a structured course correction, a change in strategy without a change in vision. The minimum viable product, or MVP, is one of the most well-known concepts from the lean startup, but it is also one of the most misunderstood. The MVP is not the cheapest version of your product or a product with the fewest features. It is the version of a new product that allows a team to collect the maximum amount of validated learning about customers with the least amount of effort. Its purpose is not to satisfy the customer, but to start the learning process. Think of Dropbox's famous first MVP. It wasn't a working product, but a simple video demonstrating how the software would work. This video was enough to validate the core assumption that people wanted a seamless file syncing solution. Many entrepreneurs fall into the trap of perfectionism. They believe they have only one shot to make a good first impression, so they spend months or years building a feature-rich product in isolation. This is incredibly risky. The key is to remember that the MVP is a process, not just a product. It is an ongoing cycle of building, measuring, and learning. Your first MVP might be very simple, a concierge MVP where you manually deliver the service to your first few customers. Embracing the MVP requires courage. It means launching something that you know is incomplete or imperfect, but this early feedback is a gift. It saves you from wasting countless hours and dollars building the wrong thing. In a startup, effort does not equal results. You can work tirelessly, write thousands of lines of code, and hold endless meetings, but if you are not learning, you are not making progress. This is where the concept of validated learning comes in. Validated learning is a rigorous method for demonstrating progress when all else is uncertain. It is the process of empirically confirming that you have discovered valuable truths about your business's present and future prospects. This requires a shift away from vanity metrics. These are numbers that look good on the surface but don't tell you anything meaningful about your business. Metrics like total signups or website hits can be misleading because they don't reveal whether customers are actually engaged. Instead, we must focus on actionable metrics. These are metrics that tie specific actions to observable outcomes. For example, rather than tracking total users, track the percentage of new users who perform a key action within their first week. By using innovation accounting, teams can hold themselves accountable. The process is simple. Establish a baseline with your MVP, make a single change to your product or strategy, and then measure the impact. This disciplined approach allows startups to make one of the hardest decisions they will ever face: whether to pivot or persevere. Validated learning, therefore, is the essential tool for making evidence-based decisions and steering your startup toward genuine, sustainable growth. Starting a new venture is an act of faith, but it doesn't have to be a blind one. The Lean Startup Method offers a way to manage the chaos and uncertainty of entrepreneurship with discipline and science. It provides a framework for testing your vision, learning from your customers, and building a business that lasts. The journey begins not with a detailed business plan, but with a series of falsifiable hypotheses. Your first task is to identify the most critical assumptions upon which your entire business idea rests. These are your leap of faith assumptions. One is the value hypothesis. Do customers want this product? And the other is the growth hypothesis. How will we acquire customers? Your next step is to build a minimum viable product, or MVP. Remember, the goal of the MVP is maximum learning, not minimum features. What is the fastest, cheapest way you can get feedback on your core assumptions? Get this experiment in front of real potential customers, not your friends or family, and measure their behavior. Do they sign up? Do they click the buy button? Do they ask for more information? Their actions, not their words, are the data you need. This is the beginning of your build, measure, learn feedback loop. As you gather this data, you must be brutally honest with yourself. Are your experiments moving you closer to a sustainable business model? Are your core metrics improving with each iteration? If they are, persevere. Double down on what's working and continue to optimize. If they are not, you must have the courage to pivot. A pivot is not an admission of failure. It is a strategic decision to test a new, more promising direction based on what you have learned. The path of an entrepreneur is challenging, but you don't have to walk it in the dark. By applying the principles of the Lean Startup, you can illuminate the way forward. Start small, test your assumptions, measure what matters, learn from your customers, and be prepared to adapt. This continuous cycle of improvement is what separates successful startups from the ones that run out of time and money chasing a flawed vision. Your great idea is just a starting point. The real work is in turning that idea into a sustainable business, one experiment at a time. Now, go make something happen.